Okay, well, we're starting back on a question that kind of touches what you talked about on your last answer. It is, were you always an adrenaline junkie?
You're talking to me, you're talking to you.
Because
Shelby's an adrenaline junkie by association.
I was going to say, I still don't consider myself an adrenaline junkie.
I've always been an adrenaline junkie. Any event or thing that I can do that raises my heart rate, I'm all about it.
I don't consider myself an adrenaline junkie. Yeah, at the bike park the other day, like an off-roading bike park, I found myself going up and down the ramps and over the teeter-totters and all the like kind of crazy stuff, and I was like, I don't consider myself
corrupted to the bad side.
I was like, I don't consider myself, but you know, that's how I decided I wanted to kind of start. Well, not really decided I wanted to start trick riding, but back in the day.
Tricks on her bicycle.
Yeah, I used to do tricks on my bicycles. I'm like, oh, just come back to the good old days on a bike. All right, so next question. Were you ever scared to trick ride? Well, yeah, of course I was. Maybe not her. Yeah, she's not.
No.
Two totally different personalities right here.
Yeah, well, not even kind of a little.
I feel like we've somewhat touched on this already, but what does it take to be a good trick rider?
Discipline, athleticism, trust, horsemanship, desire, work ethic. Like, those are probably some really big adjectives that are not only going to help you become a good trick rider, but be a successful trick rider.
Yeah, for sure. Dang it, I need to quit doing that. It's gonna start bothering me. All the things.
Oh gosh.
So, I don't know where I've got this little saying I keep saying, but I've noticed at the ranch, everyone like shares a rotation of sayings, and once someone starts saying something, everybody starts saying it.
And then it just goes around the whole farm and comes back, and you're like,
it's like a
started
cold.
That?
It's like a cold, but instead of being a cold, it's a saying.
We're like a colony.
Okay. All right. So, how do you communicate with your horse when you trick ride?
Vocal, probably more than anything. Your emotions. So that's one thing with Shelby is every horse that she's performed on, they figure out, to not take
this girl's anxious, but for some reason I'm okay with it not freaking out.
Yeah, they're good with her. They know, regardless of what anxiety she has, that doesn't really feed to our horses. They kind of know her and they love her and they take care of her. But what was the question?
How do you communicate with your horses?
Vocal. So I talk to my horses the whole time. You talk to them in practice, remind them everything. You can talk a horse into or out of a lot of things. So if something happens in the arena, you're being able to talk to your horse in any situation for any reason, and them understand what you're saying to them is going to be literally a lifesaver if something happens to you. If something happens, something malfunctions, tack malfunction, you can slow a horse down. You can talk a horse out of doing something. If something happens and they try to buck or do something stupid, you can talk them out of that. So definitely vocal.
Yeah. I'm catching myself saying yeah for sure, and it's really bothering me. What should I say instead? Comment down below. Actually, you guys can't comment because comments are turned off on our videos.
Oh, are they?
Tell me on an Instagram post what saying I should start saying to agree with somebody on something. And like our Instagram, like our Facebook.
Right. All the social media channels. TikTok, we're on TikTok. I haven't posted in a while. I need to get better about content. We've been so many things.
All the things. Alright, so what is your favorite moment in your trick riding career?
You go first.
So we were talking about this earlier. Mine, I think, is just the fact that I got to use Count during our Briarfest performances last year, because I did some of the tricks that I hadn't done in years because of my back injuries that I had. And little did I know, I think it was a month later, he came up with a swelling on his leg, and then I want to say six or 7 months later, he ended up, I had surgery to get that removed, and I ended up losing him after, I think a week after the surgery, and he ended up having cancer throughout his whole body. So I'm just really grateful that I got to ride him that one last time at those performances.
It's such an amazing place to have that happen.
And I always, there's so many times, especially when we have performances with little kids, that I would always just let our sponsored riders ride them, because there'd always be something happen, someone needed to use them. And so it just was a perfect scenario where I was able to use them the whole weekend, and now I'm very grateful for that.
I would have to say that my favorite moment in my trick riding career would probably have to be out in Las Vegas, competing out there for the National Trick Riding Championships. Just because it's the environment, like that's what I live for, is the competition side of things, the adrenaline that comes from that.
Oh my gosh, her and Michael just had a colt starting competition, and
I'm a little over the top.
Loves competition, and he loves.
I will post that video so you guys can see. We might have to just make that a Trixie Chicks link and put like a front end and a back end. I was getting pulled over. Oh, not today. It was a reflection from the other side of the road.
It was probably me.
Oh, stop it with your little iPad. That's funny. Anyhow, we decided, so Michael, for those of you guys know, I need to get him on here so you guys can see him and meet him. He is a hot mess express. We are a total disaster. And he is an amazing, like, world-renowned colt starter, the best in the industry, hands down. I'm not saying that just because I'm dating him. He is phenomenal. And so I said, you know what? You and I are going to compete. We're going to have a colt starting competition. We're going to go get two untouched, unhandled. They had been halter broke fillies out of our pasture. We turned them out from the time that they're babies. And we're going to get them, and you have 7 days to shoot a video on them. So 7 days, all your videos had to be less than 40, or videos, all of your sessions had to be less than 45 minutes of ride time. You could do a second session that was like trick training, liberty, sit, lay down, any of that stuff. And the videos that we put together were phenomenal. Like, it's crazy when you don't limit the horse and you make learning fun and they enjoy what they're doing and they're learning something every single ride. The amount of things you can ask a horse to do that they're more than willing to do on their own is amazing. I ended up winning this competition. I won by like 20 votes.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop. I'm getting a buckle made.
And that's the method that we're going to be using with all of our up-and-coming trick riding horses. But also, like, we've been using it with, like, Cookie and
the Cookie Monster.
Like, I mean, Cody has always been like angel.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
King is king. But Cookie is a totally brand new horse after going through the steps. You can't make out with her while she's driving.
He is having some mental breakdown, not being the center of attention.
Yeah, for sure.
Next question.
All right. What are your future goals? Me, I'd like to get Bart trick riding. I'd like to finish getting myself in shape, working on that right now. And be able to do some of the, for one, like vaulting and stuff that I haven't been able to do for a long time, and then also stuff that I've never been able to do before. And have, like I said, have Bart going solid and seasoned where I can start using him and not have to mooch Kelsey's horses every performance.
Hey, they like being mooched. So, goals is a very vague question to ask me.
Hey, well, there's another question about your life, so don't go too deep.
Well, should this be trick riding related goals?
Trick.
So, I have a couple tricks that I'm working on this fall that there are no women in the industry doing currently in the rodeo arena. So I'm working on those. I really want to nail them. I was kind of planning to shoot we had an event in October that I was going to perform them at. That event is now canceled, so it might be a next spring thing.
We canceled our own event because
it just wasn't worth the risk of only being allowed to have 50 people in a venue that, your overhead expenses are so high anyway. You want to make sure that you can afford to pay all of your people. So working on those tricks, nailing those by this spring so I can perform those. They're on my bucket list to do before I decide to start having kids. So I want to make sure that I've achieved those, gotten the pictures, the videos, the proof that I did them, all that fun stuff. Finally starting to feel like I'm back to 100% of where I should be. It's always fun having injuries on and off and all the roadblocks that hit you. The big thing is to keep making goals, keep setting things that you want to reach for, because it's when you stop and you don't do that you're going to find yourself stuck. And you don't ever want to feel stuck for any reason. Like his face. Alright, next question.
Alright, last and final question.
Ooh, look at us.
Is what is the next stage for you? I'm assuming that means like life goals as far as our next chapter in our life or something.
Yeah. So, I don't want to say all the things. That's all that comes. You go first. What is your next stage?
You hiring Cassidy and getting him down here.
So she doesn't have to go visit her husband once a month.
Yeah.
What else? You got more?
Selling my house, getting a house down here set up. Right now, I'm not complaining, but I have a cabin. It's really cute. The only bad part about the cabin, I'm fine with the cabin. The dogs, on the other hand, get wound for sound, not having areas to run around. So, this little guy, he has X amount of energy he has to burn every day, or else he's a crazy boy. Yeah, you. I'm talking about you, you crazy boy.
So the next step's kind of hard for me because there's so many things that are, lined up. My timeline, I obviously can't go through all of that with you guys, but Michael and I are buying our first house together, so we'll be closing on that in 10 days. By the time you see this video, we will already be moved in. I'm sure Shelby and I will videotape that reconstruction process, which is going to be super entertaining.
Yeah, we're going to turn into a DIY channel.
Right? I love painting for the first 5 minutes, and then I'm out. I'm like real out after
we thought
that point.
That we were going to hire that out, but then we called today and got a price quote.
We're like, no, we can buy a really nice trick riding horse.
We doing it.
We're just going to paint it ourselves. So doing that, in the future, getting married, having kids, going through all of that, our businesses are, it's crazy where we're at in the direction and how big we're expanding on things. So that's kind of the big thing right now, is making sure that everything's progressing and building and expanding the way that we wanted to. We've also got into some real estate stuff, so that's a totally new ballpark for me, which has been pretty entertaining, just because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're using your body for your source of income for your entire life. So training horses, trick riding, whatever it may be, you want to have some kind of end goal where you're not having to work your entire life relying on your body. So I learned this really the hard way whenever I broke my leg back in 2018, and being off for 10 weeks and working on stuff for the business and doing that part of things. It really opens your eye that at the end of the day, you do everything you can to stay safe, you do everything you can to take the necessary precautions to not have something happen, but at the end of the day, something can very easily happen that can ruin your career. And I was fortunate enough to be able to come back from that, not miss a beat, go back to doing what I love, but it kind of helps you reevaluate, okay, well, what is something I'm good at? If something would happen and I would break my leg or have something happen where I couldn't trick ride, what am I going to do? What is my goal? And Shelby and I both went to college. We talk about that on several of our vlogs in the past. If you haven't seen those, go check them out. But having some kind of education, whether that is a university, a trade school, learning a craft, whatever that may be, have something that you're good at, something that you enjoy doing, and making sure that there's because being a trick rider, it's not just being a trick rider. There are so many aspects that play into that to be successful that you can't rely just on your talent. You're going to have the business savviness. You're going to have to learn how to use social media. You're going to have to learn how to be comfortable. We were just talking about that earlier. I made a phone call and left a voicemail for the painter, and Shelby was on the phone with Cassidy, and he said, she's so professional when she's on the phone. So my mother has made me make calls, even like when I was a kid, 3 or 4 years old, and I would get a birthday card and I would have to call and thank those people and be very professional. So really expanding your ability to talk to people, feel comfortable being in front of a camera, especially with today's society. You've got to feel comfortable putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, letting people fall in love with your story. And I think that's part of the reason you guys are here with us and you watch our videos. And when we go to places and hear our fans talk about videos and how in depth or how many times they've watched it, it is amazing. We love having your all support. We're going to continue doing frequently asked questions. We're going to get back on here and start doing more videos, more vlogs.
Heck, I don't know what questions they could have left.
Right?
They asked them all.
No, shoot. No, with our other business on our membership club, I go live 3 days a week, 7 questions a day, and they last like an hour and a half. I have no problem talking. And then if you guys don't have questions for us, we'll just make up our own questions. Right? All right, guys, that's it for part 3 of the Q&A on Instagram. Thank you so much for following us.
I'm posting this on YouTube, and then I'm going to put
That's
little
okay.
tidbits on Instagram.
That's okay. If you do not follow us on YouTube, if you're seeing this on Instagram, follow us on YouTube. We have a lot of videos on there. If you're on Instagram and you're not on Facebook or TikTok, get on those, like us, follow us, give us your love, show us your support, and we can't thank you guys enough for being our followers. Thank you.
And